suspected heavily is that obviously Death of the Justice League from Williamson and Co. in issue 75, the final issue of the current Justice League series, was going to lead into some kind of event. That was a very obvious thing from the second they announced all that stuff. Now we have a title, and it's a title that, funnily enough, we have joked about them using before. In fact, there was a time when Metal, we were speculating, might be called this, and that title is Dark Crisis. They're finally using that title. And this is kind of...
I love Metal, and I still stand by that. Could have still been the name of what they called this.
It could have been called that, yeah. It would have made no difference. Obviously, they get to use it now because they didn't use it before, so happy days in that sense. So this is obviously going to be Williamson, and it's a 7-issue book, although there's a couple of little lead-ins that are coming before that as well. The traditional Free Comic Book Day special, which, it says Dark Crisis issue 0 special, but it's got multiple writers and stuff, which to me suggests that there's probably going to be like a 10-page, actual issue 0 Dark Crisis story, and then a couple other things that probably are related to stuff that's going to be happening around Dark Crisis, but from other books, so it'll be other writers and artists and whatever else.
The most interesting thing about this, potentially, the comic book day, Free Comic Book Day thing specifically, is the fact that DC are continuing ahead with participating in Free Comic Book Day, which is a diamond endeavor.
No, that's good. They see some value in it, clearly. Especially for something like this, but this is a big event. Here's a teaser, for free. Come and buy the rest of it. Thank you. And then there's also another prelude issue coming out at the end of May. So Free Comic Book Day is 7th of May, so that's at the start of May. And then May 31st, there's going to be a one-shot called Justice League Road to Dark Crisis issue 1, which, when this is all collected, I assume whatever the short story in the Free Comic Book Day issue, and then this one-shot will be at the start of the trade, and then you'll get the 7 issues of the main.
And if they're not in the trade, it's because they're utterly inessential.
Yes, if they're important, they'll be in the trade, and if they're not, then you shouldn't care.
Yeah.
But obviously we'll cover them, and part of the fun of these big events is the build up and what they're doing. They did reveal a few things. Pariah is going to be the villain, and is going to be wielding the darkness, the great darkness beyond the multiverse, because he wants to bring back his multiverse, which is now going to be known as Multiverse 2, which is another multiverse in the greater omniverse. DC, I love how tangled a web this is becoming.
I give it 10 years. 10 years and this is getting blown to oblivion. Not this specifically, but everything, because they're building so much, is getting blown to oblivion, back down to just, no, it's one Earth, there's no multiverse, there's nothing.
Yes,
it's the only logical conclusion.
Yeah, but that'll last for about another decade or two, and then they'll bring everything back. This is the cycle. This is the cycle.
It's the DC cycle, yeah.
This is important. So yeah, I mean, there's some covers here to look at. There's a nice big 2 sort of wraparound cover to look at with a lot of characters. What's very interesting about that one, I think in particular, is all the Justice League members, not all of whom had coffins in the previous art and stuff that was released, but so I don't know if they're all technically dead or if it's just more of a symbolic thing, but all of the current Justice League are sort of like in the sky as like Force ghosts, and then underneath them you got John Kent, Jessica Cruz, Wonder Girl, Captain Marvel, Nightwing, Wally West. You got all these characters sort of front and center on all
the legacy characters.
Yeah, except Hal, who's not a legacy character, but he's there. I guess he's like the uncle, the cool uncle, who's going to be around to help all the legacy characters out. Anyway, it sprawls off out of the back page with some villains, and at the bottom there's more legacy heroes, just sort of like tons of them, all just sort of lined up. So I do like a lot of these characters that are kind of featuring on this main page. I love that Jessica Cruz, who is my favorite Green Lantern, who became my favorite Green Lantern throughout Rebirth, and I don't think she's been, obviously she was in Justice League Odyssey, which withered and died quite some time ago. I don't feel she's been that prominent in anything for a while, so it's kind of nice to see her on the front of the cover of this. Obviously, Dick and Wally featuring heavily next to John Kent as being what we think of, because we think of Wally and Dick as the 2 main legacy characters. They are the I don't know, the team captains of legacy heroes in DC Comics.
In the modern sense, definitely, yeah.
So them being there with John Kent, who's kind of front and center because he just became Superman, is kind of a big deal. And you got Damian and other characters. Obviously, Black Adam's the other one that sticks out as not really being a legacy character, in a sense. But that's cool.
Not really.
I'm sure Shazam and Black Adam being on the cover, though, is again going to be relevant in some capacity in whatever they're going to do in the plot. But it's just interesting to look at it and see what's there. Villains-wise, we got an interesting bunch.
Yeah. Obviously, Pariah.
Yeah, he's the one at the back, right in the red, looking down. But you also got is that Black Hand there? I'm seeing.
I've got an article here that has a bunch of them.
Oh, is there just listed? Go on then.
Yeah, it's a separate article. You got Eclipso.
I see Eclipso. Yep. He's on the left.
Spectre, who is, I think, it mentions here that Pariah is like pulling the strings of them, but because obviously Spectre is not inherently a villainous character, but he is included with the villainous lineup here.
Where's Spectre on this cover? I don't see Spectre.
Maybe it's a separate image they released.
Oh, maybe yeah. I don't see him on this cover. I see what I think is I see Darkseid obviously. I see Doomsday in the back. I see what's his face?
That is not helpful.
What? Ares. I was like
Ares, yes.
The Wonder Woman villain. God damn it! I was just trying to think of what his name was. It just escaped my mind.
Necron. The Empty Hand is apparently the guy with the horns.
Okay. Oh yeah. That I mean, I wouldn't have remembered it, but now you've said it. Yeah, he's in current Justice League Incarnate. He's been in the last couple issues.
Right. Okay.
So that makes sense.
That makes sense. Yeah.
And
this article also mentions the Upside Down Man from Justice League Dark.
Oh, he's not in this image, but cool.
No, and it mentions Deathstroke as well in this article.
Yeah, so, he's on a cover. He's got like a sort of like a half and half thing with Batman. He's where the Batman face becomes Deathstroke in the middle.
Yes, I see it.
So cool. Yeah. I mean, I'm into it. I'm sure I'll have fun with this. Hopefully, this is Williamson sort of like ascending to an even bigger type of story. But at the same time, I don't think Williamson's as capable as some of the other writers who have tackled stories like this. So I expect I'm going to have fun, but it's probably going to be, flawed in places.
Yeah, I want to be excited because, big event, but I have struggled with a lot of Williamson's big concept stuff. Especially recently, I kind of found a lot of it kind of a mess. And I've struggled to enjoy it. So I'm not actually that excited for this. I'll try it, but yeah, it's hard for me personally to be excited.
That's fine. You can be the Debbie Downer.
I know. That's what I'm good at.
So yeah, we'll go with that. But hey, cool. So yeah, that's Dark Crisis. The free issue and the prelude issue are coming in May, and then the main series, I think they said starting in June. I'd expect it to anyway. So
I'll probably run for the rest of the year then.
Yeah, up until final issue. And assuming there's no delays, the final issue should be in December.
Yeah.
So that's cool. That's cool. Not quite news per se, but there was kind of a weird scare that Jeff Johns was a dickbag this week, but then it turned out to be a false alarm because EVS was using a 10-year-old photo to suggest that he was hanging out with Jeff Johns.
Yeah. Obviously, there's been other stories about Johns over the past few years, but uncorroborated. But if this had ended up being true,
this was different though. This was just like he's going to go on a known like neo-Nazis podcast. Like that was like a it looked very bad for a little bit, and then people started pointing out like, oh wait, no, this is an old photo, and then of course nothing materialized because he said it was going to be the next day, and then nothing happened. So yes. But the only reason why I'm bringing this up, because I don't even necessarily think it's worth bearing discussion, other than the fact that I've seen other places who posted the image and started like saying, oh, he's awful now, we have to boycott him, but then never seemed to like see the updates that said, no, this is the fake photo, or not fake photo, but it's an old photo, and this is not actually happening. So
I'm sure for some of them it's just ignorance.
Yeah.
It's an awkward thing with the way Twitter works in that, okay, the thing gets traction and people see it, but then the update or the apology or whatever it may be that clarifies things doesn't necessarily get the same traction, so it doesn't reach everyone who saw the original thing, right?
Yeah.
So
I think it's worth mentioning just for the sake of saying no, it was bullshit. That's not to say that Johns is innocent of everything or he'll never have a problem, but at the very least in this case, this thing is inaccurate. So it seems worth spreading that part of the story a little bit, since some people don't seem to see the second part. So worth mentioning. So there you go. You wanted to talk about Amazon and Comixology, so by all means.
Yes, I do, because the the official merger, I mean, not merger, the site migration and app migration occurs this week. And it's a goddamn shit show of a mess already. Yeah. So this kind of came up this week when it realized that a lot of creators were getting worried because if you buy a bunch of digital comics, do you subscribe to any series, Pete?
I used to, and then I stopped, and I can't remember why I stopped. I think I like going in on whatever day. I mean, it's not always like a Tuesday or a Wednesday. Sometimes it's later in the week, just when I get around to it. But there is part of me that likes going in and just sort of like, okay, now I get to buy my books. It's like, it's like the feeling of going into a comic shop and taking them off the shelves and just being like, this is the one I'm looking for, and this one I'm looking for. It's
no, I get it. I'm the same.
I like the process of doing it. So I have toyed with it in the past of like being subbed, and it is kind of nice because they actually appear like in your account. Like at the time it was Wednesdays before they switched to Tuesdays for DC, but at the time, like the new books, you could search for them and buy them from like 9 a.m. UK time on the Wednesday on release day, but they'd actually appear like in your account to read at like 7 a.m. So if you were subbed, you actually did get them a little bit earlier, just because they sort of automatically went in. But other than that, like there's it's digital comics. There's no real reason to feel the need to subscribe.
Well, I think there are valid reasons for it for a lot of people, and that a lot of people forget, to go every week. They miss books, and then they're like, "Oh, where's this?" And for some people, it's just an easy way of routine, and even financially, it's like, okay, I can see all of these. This is what's coming out every time.
I think the other reason why you probably don't want to subscribe to books on Comixology like that is just because sometimes they will include things in the subscription for that series that you don't necessarily want, like maybe an annual that you want to skip, or there's not an easy way to just say, I want to opt out of this extra special thing that you're doing as part of the series. There's no like easy way of doing that other than just cancelling the subscription and going back to it afterwards. So
I still think though they're good for a lot of people, even if we don't use them. But they basically don't exist outside the US after this week. So as of this week, anyone who has any subscriptions have been cancelled. If you're in the US, you can set them up again through the Amazon Kindle Comixology storefront. That is, I think it's gone live now. We talked about that last week, but it's becoming Comixology will redirect to this page. I think this week is what they're saying. So you can set them up on there to subscribe. If you're outside the US, tough shit. Subscriptions are gone. You can't have them anymore. Because Amazon can't handle that, apparently.
What's weird about that is that Amazon's such a worldwide company that offers its services all over the planet. It's kind of weird that there is something like that that's going to be US specific.
It's bizarre.
My general feeling about all of this, now that's something that might never get fixed because it sounds like one of those annoying things I'm just never going to deal with. My general feeling, though, with the rest of the migration is that it's probably going to suck for a while, and then over time, a lot of the little things that people are annoyed don't exist will probably be fixed or added, and it'll smooth out.
But it's annoying given that those things exist already, and we're losing them. Because some of the other things that we're losing, sorting your books by series. Like, how at the minute, if you go on Comixology, you can just click, the Batman, and book, and you click Batman, and then all the Batman comics are within there. It's like a subfolder.
Yes.
That's going. So you won't be able to do that. Smart List, if you use the app, not being there for the foreseeable future. So Smart Lists are how I use Comixology quite a lot, because I use just say, okay, this is the recently purchased, currently reading, like in progress tab, and unread are kind of the ones that I tend to use in the Smart Lists.
Recently purchased is very handy for the new books, yeah.
Yeah. Their new advice is, so for example, you have to sort by recency, read or unread, and filter by in progress, and kind of just tick through the things that you want manually to filter through to get your options, which is a lot more hassle than just having the things there. Yeah. You can't archive books anymore, because I know a lot of people do that with books that they kind of don't want in their library.
Yep.
This is specifically for the web reader as opposed to the app. But if you read on a PC, on a desktop, in a browser, good luck. Just good luck. I don't know if you've seen the screenshots, but double pages do not work. They keep the side. So basically, you've got the single page that is essentially the full page in the middle of your monitor. The way that would work at a single page. It then essentially letterboxes the top and bottom and puts the double page just in the middle of that as well. So it's a very small box in the middle, and there is no way to zoom in. You can get a guided view if you really want it, but you can't actually zoom in. And when you do go to guided view, it doesn't go to a higher resolution image. So you're still stuck reading low res text just zoomed in, basically. Doesn't really apply to DC and Marvel because they don't do this. But if you get books that have DRM free, the ability to back up and download your books DRM free, which a lot of other publishers do, that's going away. You'll be able to still get the ones you've already bought, but all the ones that you've had before are gone. Or new ones will be gone, sorry. There's just a lot of problems that are just unnecessary, and it's clearly a far inferior experience for at least the foreseeable future. And the problem is with Amazon, because we've seen them do this with other services that they've taken over, like Audible, or even something like Goodreads, where they purchase them and basically updates stop. We saw this with Comixology as well, where updates just didn't really happen, right? The site, it hit a look, it hit a style, and that was it. And yeah, then things kind of got worse, and then the experience didn't get any better. And because it's Amazon, there's no one there to compete with them because they're the only ones with all the money and the links of these publishers. So because there is no competition, how many of these problems will actually get fixed remains to be seen. Yeah. So honestly, I'm really not looking forward to this new integration this week.
I mean, nor am I, but there is no competition. There's nothing you can do about it, really, other than just complain at them and hopefully they fix some stuff. So I'm just not. I'm not spending effort thinking about it. Is what I'm saying.
I mean, I am, because it's a service I use, multiple times a week. So it's annoying, and I'm sure that probably goes for a lot of our listeners. And that, hey, no, this is annoying, especially like the buying things. That's so frustrating if you're a person that uses subscriptions. I know a lot of creators are unhappy because it means that there's probably a lot of people that won't migrate subscriptions, that won't regularly go and click buy because they don't remember to. They just have it pop up that they're essentially losing out on money now.
Which is funny in a way, because it's kind of acknowledging that X portion of your reader base wasn't actually reading your comic. They were just sort of forgetting they were subscribed to it and letting it charge.
That's not necessarily true. There's a lot of books that I forget about, that I not forget about, but I would forget to buy if I didn't have my shop pull it, because I don't check every week. Oh, this is what's out this week. I just trust my shop to pull my books, and I enjoy those books. I love those books. I read them, but if I didn't have my shop pulling them every week, I would miss issues. I know I would, because I don't.
But missing issues is irrelevant for digital, though. That's not the same debate. Because with digital, if you realize you've not been getting the issues, you can go back and just get them at any time.
It reminds me when to read them. And two, I think this does apply to digital in terms of from a creator standpoint, in terms of your financial gain. If that person doesn't notice at first, because they're the type of person who does just get that, or maybe they think it's gone on a break or it's delayed or whatever. If they're that sort of person, and then by the time they come to it, the price has dropped by $1, you as a creator are making less money from that sale when you wouldn't have been before.
Yeah.
Which sucks.
I just don't have strong opinions on this for whatever reason, even though it's going to annoy me just as much as anyone else. I don't know. You've been bringing this up for months, and I'm just sick of talking about it.
Because it's the biggest shift in digital comics in years.
There's only so much there's so much things to complain about, and I just don't have it in me. I don't have it in me to go on a tirade about this. Something else will spark a fire in me later, but I don't have it in me to rant about this.
We'll see how you feel after using it.
We'll see.